So we'll start our discussion. So yesterday I could not take the class. I was not well. Today also I am not so well, but we are so much behind in the syllabus. I don't want to delay anymore. So the yesterday class has to be compensated sometime. Okay. So you guys should let me know of a time. This week will be too difficult because I'm not feeling well. So I don't want it this weekend. So sometime next week you just what will be a suitable time for taking the extra class? Someday evening is better, or during Saturday or something like that. Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. So we were discussing about diffusers. Okay, let me just keep this open again in another slide. This will be needed. Let us keep like this. We will discuss about the extra class later. So we had started discussing about jet engines in the previous class, right? And the first type of jet engines that we are going to cover is turbojet engine. Okay, so I hope you can see the diagram. So in the turbojet we have discussed what are the main parts. Apart from industrial gas turbines where you have compressor, combustion chamber and turbine, here we also have the diffuser and the nozzle. Okay, and the function of the diffuser is to slow down the flow and as a consequence increase the pressure and temperature enthalpy. And the function of the nozzle is exactly opposite, to speed up the flow by reducing the enthalpy, pressure and temperature. Okay, so both are similar in design, means not exactly similar but have just the opposite characteristics. So for subsonic flow, you know that diffuser should have increasing area. To reduce the flow speed, we need increasing area. For supersonic flow, to reduce the speed, we need decreasing area. Okay, so we can have convergent, divergent diffusers also for in case where we have supersonic flow velocity at the inlet. Means if the aircraft is flying at supersonic velocity, in that case convergent divergent type of diffuser in the first part will be convergent, where in the converging section the flow speed will be reduced. Once it reaches the sonic velocity at the throat, in the divergent section it will be further reduced. The velocity will be further reduced in the subsonic region. Okay. And this was the TS diagram. This we have discussed. This was the TS diagram for the or we had just started discussing this, I guess, for the turbojet engine. Okay. So first part we will discuss in details is for the diffuser. Then from 01 to 02 is for the compressor. This you already know because we have already studied about industrial gas turbines. Where 02S is the ideal or isentropic process and 02 is the actual point that we reach. From 02 to 03 is the combustion in the combustion chamber, assuming there is no pressure loss. 03 to 04 is the expansion in the turbine. The work output in the turbine in this case is equal to the work input required for the compressor. Okay, because the turbine is only necessary for running the compressor, not for power generation. And then from 04 to 5, okay, static condition 5 is the expansion in the nozzle. So that also we will study in more details, nozzle part. Diffuser and nozzle we will study in more details. So let us take a look at the diffuser part. Okay, let us keep this open here in case we need this later on. So we were discussing that entry velocity condition at the inlet of the diffuser. Okay, inlet condition is atmospheric condition, temperature is TA, pressure is PA, and velocity is equal to the velocity of the incoming flow, which is equal to the aircraft velocity obviously. If the incoming fluid is static and the aircraft is moving with velocity VA, so with respect to the aircraft engine, the incoming fluid velocity is VA. So say the velocity here is VA. Okay. So what is the stagnation condition at this point at the inlet? Stagnation condition we have discussed as T0A temperature. Okay, 0 is the stagnation point. T0 is the temperature which can be written as TA plus VA square by 2 Cp. Correct? In case there is any doubt, please let me know. Okay. T0 is equal to TA plus VA square by 2 Cp. This is at the point A itself. Okay, it is not a separate point 0A. So at the point A means in the physical engine, just at the entry at the point A, the static conditions are given by this point and the stagnation conditions are given by this point. These are not two separate points in the physical space. This is the same point in the physical space, but one is for the static condition, one is denoting the stagnation conditions. Okay, but the point is same at the inlet section. So TA plus VA square by 2 Cp is T0A. Similarly, P0A you can find P0A by PA is equal to T0A by TA to the power gamma by gamma minus 1 using isentropic relation. Okay, so these are the stagnation conditions at the inlet, and HA and H0A also, if you use Cp into T, so CPTA and CPT0A. Okay, so H0A is equal to HA plus VA square by 2. So this is the stagnation condition at the inlet. So what happens in the diffuser, we have discussed in the previous class in details, is that there is frictional losses in the diffuser, and as a result, although the temperature does not decrease, okay, stagnation temperature cannot decrease because the frictional losses will manifest as temperature itself. If we consider an insulated diffuser, we can assume that the diffusion process is almost insulated because it's quite fast. So whatever heat is generated due to friction contributes to the temperature of the fluid itself. So the stagnation temperature does not change even if there is friction. So stagnation temperature remains same as T0A, but the stagnation pressure decreases because of frictional losses. There is a loss in pressure. Okay, and what happens to the entropy? The entropy increases. So basically the actual line deviates from the isentropic line as shown here by the green line. The blue line is the isentropic line, the green line is the actual line. So it deviates to the right hand side, similar to the compressor process, similar to this process, but it ends at the point where the temperature is equal to T0A. Okay, so T01 is equal to T0A. This is the point, and how much frictional losses are there, that will govern how much deviation occurs. So if the frictional losses are more, the line will deviate even more, like it will go like this and reach a further away point, but along the same height T0A, but the point will be further away. And as you can see here, if you draw the constant pressure line through T01, this constant pressure line through T01, this P01 is lower than P0A, the constant pressure line through T0A. Okay, so the pressure is reduced in this process. Okay, from P0A to P01, the stagnation pressure is reduced. Static pressure increases, stagnation pressure is reduced due to frictional losses. Okay, so ideally we should have obtained P0A pressure, but in real life we are just obtaining P01 pressure. Okay, so to quantify this amount of losses, we need to define some efficiency parameter for the diffuser. For compressor and turbine, it was easy to define the efficiency, okay, isentropic efficiency. For the diffuser, it is not so easy. It is tricky actually. For the compressor, how did we define? We defined it by T02S minus T01 by T02 minus T01. Okay, So ideal work input by actual work input, like this we have defined. Here we cannot do that because if you see the temperature difference, ideal case and actual case both are same. T0A minus TA and T01 by minus TA both are same. So what is happening is there is pressure loss. Okay, so we can either define an efficiency parameter in terms of the pressure losses, or we have to come up with some other idea to define the efficiency parameter. Okay, so let us see how to define the efficiency in terms of pressure losses. Okay, and then we will come to the isentropic efficiency of the diffuser. Guys, can you still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, fine. So what is the purpose of the diffuser? To increase the pressure. So let us assume that the at the outlet of the diffuser, the velocity is almost negligible. Okay, which is obviously not true, but the velocity is very small. Okay, almost negligible. So what will be the static pressure in ideal condition at the outlet of the diffuser? What will be the static pressure? So this is this is the exit of the diffuser, like at the entry of the compressor. Here the stagnation pressure in the ideal condition is P0A. What will be the static pressure in the ideal condition? Anyone?
We can find using static temperature.
That is true. Say the velocity is zero, almost zero at the exit of the diffuser. Okay, we have the diffusion process such that the exit of the diffuser, the velocity is almost zero. What will be the static temperature then at this point if there are no losses? Exit velocity is almost zero. Static temperature will be equal to T0A itself, right? Because of energy balance. Is it clear to everyone or there is doubt? Let me write the first law. Okay. We are going slowly, but these things are important. Quickly, let me just write it. This thing should be anyway clear to you. So say you have a diffuser like this. Okay. The drawing will be inaccurate, but this is the idea. Okay. This is point say 0.1 and this is 0.2. Okay. What is the energy balance for the diffuser? H1 plus P1 square by 2 is equal to H2 plus V2 square by 2. Q and W are 0. This is first law, steady state, steady flow process energy balance. This everyone remembers, or is there any doubt regarding this also? Everyone knows this, right? Okay. So if V2 is almost equal to 0, I am saying that V2 is almost equal to 0. Okay. So in this case, H1 plus V1 square by 2 is almost equal to H2. Okay, static enthalpy. What is H1 plus V1 square by 2? It is the stagnation. H01 is almost equal to H2. Okay. Also equal to H02 obviously, but this is H2 and T01 is almost equal to T2. In our case, T01 is T0A. Okay. And T2 is actually at the end point of the diffuser, which we have not yet defined for the ideal case, but you should get the idea from here. Okay, is it clear that the static condition should be equal to the stagnation condition if the velocity is almost equal to 0 at the end of the diffuser? Okay, so P, ideally we should have obtained a pressure P0A. In real life we are obtaining a pressure P01. Okay, So we can define an efficiency like this. Let me open this diagram to keep this handy. P01 minus PA, okay, so this is the actual rise in pressure that is occurring, P01 minus PA by P0A minus PA, okay, the ideal rise in pressure that could have occurred in the ideal case. This is known as ram efficiency because of the diffuser is acting like there is a ramming effect, means the air is coming and getting compressed in the diffuser like something is the air to get compressed. So that's why it is known as ram efficiency. Okay, this ramming efficiency becomes very important for ramjet engines. Obviously, you can understand from the ram the terminology. So ramjet engine, because the ramming effect occurs only because of the diffuser in ramjet engine, we will see that the actual pressure rise only depends on the diffuser. There is no compressor. Okay, but anyway, this is known as ram efficiency and is given in this way. P01 minus PA by P0A minus PA. Okay. Efficiency of the diffuser, and this depends on the frictional losses. If the frictional losses are more, T01 will be even lower. However, T01 will always be equal to T0A. Only that this line will deviate to the right hand side like this. Okay. And your line will become, again, let me just clarify it once because I guess that some of you might still be confused. Okay. So I don't have a board, it is difficult. So this is your line, and this is the ideal diffuser process. Okay, this is point A, this is point 0A, means the temperature T0A, this is TA. So in our case, we are deviating somewhat like this. So assuming constant temperature, okay, our line goes something like this, and we get a constant pressure line through this point like this. Sorry, like this. So instead of P0A, we are getting P01. Okay. So if the line would have deviated further, we will get another constant pressure line, which would have been even lower. Okay, P01 dash say. But the temperature will remain still same, equal to T0A. This is the same constant temperature line. Okay, this is the same constant temperature line, but entropy is increasing and pressure is decreasing because of more and more efficiency. So RAM efficiency will be obviously lower for the second case, P01 dash in that case. Okay. So this is one way of defining the efficiency. But because we have always defined efficiency for all the other cases in terms of temperature, we also want to define efficiency in terms of temperature for the diffuser also. Okay, which we are going to call as isentropic efficiency. Although it is somewhat, means it gives a measure of a change from the isentropic process. It is not like the isentropic efficiency of the compressor or the turbine. Okay, it is defined in somewhat different way. So slightly tricky to understand. So what we are going to do is the constant pressure line P01, which passes through this T01 line, we are going to extend it and it will cut somewhere on the actual isentropic process line. Okay, this point. Let us call this point as 01S. Okay, this does physical, okay, in the process, but we are going to call this as 01S. Isentropic point or isentropic temperature corresponding to actual pressure P01. Okay, isentropic temperature corresponding to actual pressure P01. This is the point. So at pressure P01, if the process would have been isentropic, what would have been the temperature? Okay, so this gives us a measure of the actual losses, because if P01 is lower, the 01S will also be lower as compared to 0A. Okay, so in this way we should be able to define an efficiency. Let me first define the efficiency and then we'll come back to the calculations. Okay, so this diagram is here for your reference, same diagram. So this isentropic efficiency is defined as H01S minus HA. Okay, H01S minus HA by H0 1, which is equal to H0A, H01 minus HA, okay, or H0A minus HA. So if you remove the Cp values, the isentropic efficiency can be defined as T01S minus Ta by T01 or T0A minus Ta, okay. And if P01 is lower, obviously 01S will be lower and efficiency will be lower. So it gives us a measure of the efficiency, and obviously it is related to P01. We will see how it is related to P01 pressure. But this is how the isentropic efficiency is defined, and this is slightly tricky to understand. Okay, this is not similar to the compressor or other processes because we are artificially defining this extra point 01S in this case. Any questions here? Because many students make mistakes in the exam on this point. Okay, this is very important. So the isentropic efficiency is length of this line from 01S to A by the length of the entire line from 0A to A. Okay, this is the isentropic efficiency of the diffuser. Now the question is how to find this T01S, okay, and how to relate it to the pressure. So I'm going from the very basics here. Many of you will already know this, but those of you who don't remember, so I have started with the basic part. Cp by Cv is equal to gamma, obviously, ratio of the specific heats. Okay, so from this you can find a relation between Cp and gamma and R. Okay, Cv is Cp minus R. So Cp is equal to gamma R by gamma minus 1. You can just try this and you will obtain that Cp is equal to gamma R by gamma minus 1 by just rearrangement of the terms. Assuming Cp and Cv constant and gamma constant, T01 by T, this T01 by Ta, I can write this as, obviously I can write this as T0A by Ta because T01 equal to T0A. So T0A by Ta is equal to, see what was T0A? T0A is Ta plus Vs square by 2 Cp by definition, right? By definition of stagnation temperature, T0 is equal to Ta plus Vs square by 2 Cp. By Cp I can replace using this term, gamma R by gamma minus 1. So if you do that, you get 1 plus Vs square by 2, replace Cp by gamma R by gamma minus 1, and Ta is still there, okay. So again you rearrange T01 by Ta or T0A by Ta is equal to 1 plus this gamma minus 1 by 2 you can take out. So this gamma minus 1 by 2 into Vs square by gamma R Ta. What is gamma R Ta?
Mach number.
It is not, gamma Ta is not Mach number. It is C square. Okay, square of the speed of sound at condition A. Speed of sound will also vary along the diffuser, along the diffuser or along the entire turbine. We will see that the speed of sound varies because it depends on the temperature, right? So at point A, the speed of sound is Ca. Okay, so Ca is given by square root of gamma R Ta. Okay, so gamma R Ta is Ca square. So Va square by Ca square, which is equal to Ma square. So square root of Mach number at the inlet. So inlet Mach number basically. This is a design quantity. So you will know what is the inlet Mach number or at what, like when you are designing, for what velocity your aircraft will fly. Okay. So T01 by Ta is equal to 1 plus gamma minus 1 by 2 Ma square. This is a very known relation, but I have just shown the derivation here. But in many cases or in the books you may find that this is directly written. This stagnation temperature is related to static temperature, this part at least, by 1 plus gamma minus 1 by 2 M square. Okay, very known relation. So for our case, T01 is also related like this because T01 is equal to Ta. Okay. So once we have defined the efficiency as H01S minus HA by H01 minus HA, we can now do some simplification. So not simplification means some calculation. you remove the Cp and divide the numerator and denominator by Ta. Okay, so you will get T01S by Ta minus 1 by T01 by Ta minus 1. Okay, you take this term to the left hand side. So eta d, where eta d is the diffuser isentropic efficiency, into T01 minus divided by Ta minus 1, this part is equal to T01S by Ta minus 1. Okay, what is T01 minus by Ta? We have just calculated right now. T01 by Ta is 1 plus gamma minus 1 by 2 ms square. Okay, remember this. 1 plus gamma minus 1 by 2 ms square minus this 1 is there, so this 1 gets cancelled. Okay, is equal to, what is T01S by Ta from this diagram? T01S by Ta is P01 by Pa to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma. Okay, for this isentropic relation from A to 01S. P01 by Pa to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma minus 1. Okay, so from here you can relate what is P01 by Pa if the diffuser efficiency is known. Okay, so this is just rearrangement of the term. So this 1 you can take to the other side, 1 plus eta d gamma minus 1 by 2 ms square whole to the power, this term goes to the other side, gamma by gamma minus 1. So if you know the diffuser efficiency and the inlet Mach number, you should be able to get the actual pressure that we are obtaining, not based on the diffuser efficiency, and this can be obviously related easily to the efficiency, because we know that T0A by Pa is equal to T0A by Ta to the power gamma by gamma minus 1. So if we can find P0A from this relation and P01 from this, and we can calculate the RAM efficiency. Okay, so both diffuser efficiency and RAM efficiency are representing the same thing but in different ways. Okay, both are representing the isentropic losses but in different forms, different ways, and obviously their values will be different because they are representing in different ways. So the quantities actually are different. One is based on pressure difference, one is based on some temperature difference. Values will be different, but both capture the losses due to friction. Any questions? Please read this part before the next class. This is very important because this will be required for the entire course after this, the diffuser calculation, and later we will study about nozzles, so nozzle calculation. For all the engines it will be required. So any of the calculations will go wrong if you cannot calculate correctly the outlet condition from the diffuser. Okay, so whether it's turbojet, turbofan, turboprop, all conditions, all the engines will require calculation of diffuser, ramjet, everything. Okay, so this has to be very clear. What actually we are trying to define here. Questions or? So this was supposed to be finished by in the previous class. So I had given one exercise, but as we could not finish in the previous class, so we will do the exercise. We'll go through it right now itself. Okay, I was supposed to give one just for your practice. I had given one exercise, but and I would have given the answer in the next class, but because we are doing it, let us directly jump into this to try to understand better. Okay. Same thing which is written here. I am not going through here because I have written here again in this diagram. So you will find them in the notes. Okay. So last page of the previous note and first page of today's notes, which I have uploaded today's notes also in the portal. I hope you are trying to also run a few of the MATLAB course to try to understand the characteristics. Okay, you try to run the course, make some changes to the course, try to run them to see what is the effect of R and T0A, TA, sorry, not T0A, TA and PA, all these things. Okay, atmospheric condition, then maximum temperature, compressor pressure ratio, on the efficiency, things like that. You can try to plot, play around with the codes. So let us consider a diffuser. Diffuser typically is drawn like this. Okay, if it is a divergent diffuser. What is what divergent diffuser means? That it is in the subsonic region, right? In the supersonic region, what will the diffuser look like? It will be the opposite. It will look like a nozzle, like a convergent nozzle. Okay. So again, if I just go back to the whiteboard, so this is a subsonic diffuser. Okay, velocity decreases if the inlet velocity is less than Mach 1. This is a supersonic diffuser. This also causes the velocity to decrease if the inlet velocity is greater than Mach 1. Okay, and at the outlet also velocity can never go below Mach 1 in this case. Okay, it has to be greater than Mach 1, otherwise it will get choked. And if you want to go from supersonic to subsonic, you need a diffuser like this. Convergent divergent diffuser. So inlet part is supersonic. So you have supersonic velocity which decreases with decreasing area. Then at the throat you get sonic velocity, and then this divergent part is familiar to us. Means in the subsonic region you will have decreasing velocity with increasing area. Is this clear to everyone? Convergent divergent nozzle everyone knows. Similarly here, same to that, convergent divergent diffusers are also present. Okay, we don't need to worry about how the area is changing. We only need to worry about what is the inlet and outlet conditions in our case. Okay, so at first we are just considering a diverging diffuser. Means we are in the subsonic region. The inlet velocity is also subsonic. It means that the aircraft is flying at the subsonic condition. Any questions on this? I hope it is clear to everyone. Okay. Please respond otherwise if you have any questions. Okay. Don't worry whether question is too easy or something. You should ask a lot of questions. So this is a subsonic diffuser. Inlet condition is a typical atmospheric condition at which the aircraft flies. So minus 50 degrees centigrade, 223 Kelvin. Pressure also at that altitude is very, very low. Some realistic pressure, 0.2 bar. Okay. 0.2 atmospheric pressure at ground level, 0.2 bar. And inlet Mach number is 0.8. Outlet pressure from the diffuser is given as 0.3 bar. Outlet Mach number is almost equal to 0. Even if this is not given, we will assume that the outlet Mach number is almost equal to 0. Inlet state is denoted by A, outlet state is denoted by 1. Okay. We need to find out the isentropic efficiency and the RAM efficiency of the diffuser. So again, do not confuse between these points. Okay, where is the point 0A and where is the point 01? In this physical diagram?
At A and at 1 only, sir.
Yes, it is the same point. Okay, many students actually gets confused. They think that both points are different. These are the same points. A and 0A are the same points. It's only that A denotes the static condition and 0A denotes the stagnation condition. But these are the same points. Similarly, 1 and 01 are the same points. They denote the static condition and the stagnation condition. Okay. So there are only 2 points, inlet A and outlet 1. Okay. So if we write the static condition is A and 1, stagnation condition will be 0 and then 01. Okay. Generally, we do all the calculations in the subsequent part after the diffuser in terms of stagnation condition, stagnation pressure, stagnation temperature, as we have discussed previously, to take into account the change in kinetic energy. Okay. But for the diffuser and the nozzle, the static and stagnation condition both are important, because the stagnation condition does not change in a frictionless diffuser, only the static condition changes. Okay. So anyway, how to calculate this? This is very easy. So supposed to be given to you as an exercise, but let us go through it. T0A by TA. So instead of using all this formula that we have derived, okay, you can obviously use this, but better to go in terms of first principle, means in terms of step by step deriving without memorizing anything. So T0A by TA is 1 plus gamma minus 1 by 2 ms square. This is the standard relation, right, that we have derived. This you need to remember obviously, or you can derive it also, like we have derived from first principle. So MA is given as 0.8. So T0A by TA is 1 plus gamma is 1.4 for air. Okay, this is air. So although it is not mentioned, so 1.128 this value. Okay, so you can calculate what is T0A from this because TA is given. Okay, and T01 is equal to TA. So T01 also you can calculate. T01 is equal to 1.128 into 223, which is equal to 251.544 Kelvin. So T01 is the stagnation temperature at this point that we have calculated as 251.544 Kelvin. Okay, stagnation temperature at A also is 251.544 Kelvin. These 2 points, this diagram corresponds to this process. Okay, you can assume that this is the diagram. So both the temperatures are same. Now we need to find what is T01S. Okay, so how will we find T01S? Because P01 is already given to us, we know this point P01 and PA is also known. So T01S by TA is equal to P01 by PA to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma, right? T01S by TA is equal to P01 by PA to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma. And these two values are given 0.3 and 0.2. So 0.3 by 0.2, which is 1.5 to the power 0.4 by 1.4. So 1.22, 1.1228. So T01S you can calculate as 250.3898 at this point. Obviously, it has to be lower than T0A, which we have calculated as 251.544. So now using the relation of isentropic efficiency, remember from this diagram it should be easy to remember T01S by TA minus TA by T01 minus TA or T0A minus TA. Okay, so shorter length by the longer length because efficiency has to be less than 1. So just replace the values and you will get 0.9596, 95.96% for this isentropic efficiency of the diffuser. Okay, please calculate to 4-5 digits. Otherwise, in the subsequent calculation, there will be lot of error. If you just calculate 0.95, it will induce lot of error in the subsequent calculation. Okay, so at least 4 digits are necessary here. Otherwise, the it induces lot of the other calculations. Okay, so what about the RAM efficiency? Isentropic efficiency we have calculated. For RAM efficiency, what is the equation? P01 minus PA. P01 we already know. PA is also known. Divided by P0A minus PA. So only thing is that we need to find P0A. Okay, and P0A you can easily find, right? Because T0A by TA is given, means T0A we have already found. So P0A by PA is equal to T0A by TA to the power gamma by gamma minus 1. Okay, P0 by PA is equal to T0A by TA to the power gamma by gamma minus 1. So you can always find this very easily. This we have already found to be 1.128 T0A by TA to the power gamma by gamma minus 1. So this gives us a value of 1.5243. So P0A will become equal to 0.30487 bar. You again replace the values and you get a RAM efficiency of 95.36%. So slightly different from this, but these are the two efficiencies. Okay, similar way you can calculate. So here I have given, I have just made a very small problem, but in actual problems, this will be just the first part of the problem. Means if you are calculating for a turbojet engine, the diffuser is only one part of the total problem. Okay, so this calculation will be maybe for the first part of the problem. Then you have to calculate for compressor or combustion chamber turbine like this. We will go through some calculations, but this is just to illustrate how to calculate or how the different quantities are related. Any questions on this? If there are no questions, so please read about this diffuser part. Okay, from this notes itself you read it about. It is not given in a very well means good manner in in this. You can read in the El Syed Ahmed book. That is very good. Okay, if you want. Otherwise, go to the notes. That should be sufficient. So once you can calculate, so if the diffuser efficiency is given to you, either RAM efficiency or the isentropic efficiency. Okay, so once we are designing a turbojet engine, let us come back to our turbojet engine. Okay, we were just discussing the diffuser because diffuser is an integral part of the turbojet engine. Let us come back to the turbojet engine. When we are calculating and going step by step through the calculations of a turbojet engine, what will be the parameters generally that are known to us, to a designer, or generally we start assuming that this parameter should be known to us? Can anyone answer? Let me just open this. Who is here? Ujjwal. So what can be the parameters that we can consider?
Sir, the
To be known?
maximum temperature and the inlet air conditions.
Correct, good. Maximum temperature should be known because it is dependent on something else, means turbine inlet, turbine blade material. Inlet condition should be known because that is a design parameter. Okay, so inlet air temperature, inlet air pressure, also the inlet air velocity should be known because we are designing for a certain velocity. Okay, so VA, PA and TA should be known, and this maximum temperature should be known to us. Another thing that will be known to us is to the designer, or once the designer has decided, is the compressor pressure ratio, R. Okay, RC also is a design parameter, as we have seen. So these are the things that we can assume that should be known. Okay, now I can devise a problem in different ways where these are unknown, something else is known, but in a typical design process, these will be the known parameters. But obviously, when I am designing a problem for an exam, I can make these things unknown and something else to be known. For example, I can make the efficiency unknown and all these parameters known, and you have to calculate the efficiency. But in real life, the efficiencies also will be known. All the efficiency, compressor efficiency, diffuser efficiency, turbine efficiency and nozzle efficiency will be known to us. And what Ujjwal has said, maximum temperature and inlet condition and the compressor pressure ratios. These things we can assume to be known. Okay. So then we have to proceed step by step to find out what is our target after knowing these things. Our target is to find out the performance characteristics. So what do we mean by that? We want to find out the say efficiency, and in this case the thrust developed by the engine. Okay, because in this case thrust is the important parameter, not the power developed. The thrust is the important parameter. If it was an industrial gas turbine, we would have wanted to know what is the work output. Here we want to know what is the thrust that is developed and what is the, still we can calculate what is the efficiency of the engine. Okay, but thrust is the important parameter that we want to calculate. So for that we need to go step by step and find out the temperature at each point in the cycle. Okay, so for the first point, say the diffuser efficiency is given to you, okay, or is known to you, and the inlet conditions are known. So what will you do? You can use the calculations that we have discussed just now. Okay, so if TA is known, you can obviously find out T0A based on the inlet velocity and inlet temperature and pressure. Okay, so T0 and P0A can be easily found. Then T01 you will find based on the given efficiency. Okay, if RAM efficiency is given, you can find out what is P01 and corresponding to so from this T01 obviously is equal to TA. So only thing unknown here is P01. From RAM efficiency you can directly find P01. If RAM efficiency is not given, isentropic efficiency is given, then you have to first find T01S from the isentropic efficiency, definition of isentropic efficiency. And once you know T01S, you can calculate and find what is P01 using isentropic relation. So this point will be known after your diffuser calculation. The inlet of the compressor is known to you. Means what is the inlet condition? Temperature is T01. The stagnation conditions, or means from now on we will consider the stagnation condition, and for the diffuser this is also equal to the static condition almost. T01 and P01, okay, at the inlet of the compressor. So for the compressor, so this diagram, let us keep it open here because this we will need for reference. This is the same diagram as this one. Okay. Let us go through the other processes quickly. For the compressor, some efficiency is generally known, compressor isentropic efficiency. If the compressor isentropic efficiency is known, we know that it is defined as H02S minus H01 by H02 minus H01, or T02S minus T01 by T02 minus T01, compressor efficiency. So from this, when based on the compressor pressure ratio, so first based on the compressor pressure ratio, you should be able to calculate what is T02S point. Okay, because T02S by T01 is equal to P02S by P01 to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma. Okay, pressure ratio is given, this pressure ratio is given. So T02S you are easily able to calculate, and using the isentropic efficiency relation, once you know T02S you can find T02. Okay, in the actual problem you can solve like this. Okay, if I want to write in terms of symbolic means in terms of the symbols itself, then I can write like this: T02 minus T01 by taking this to the other side is equal to 1 by eta C T02S minus T01. If I take T01 out from this bracket, so I get T02S by T01. T02S by T01 is nothing but P02 by P01 to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma, where P02 by P01 is a known quantity, compressor pressure ratio RC. Okay, so RC to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma minus 1. This is a known quantity. T01 is a known quantity from my previous calculation. Eta C is a given quantity. So we can obviously find what is the temperature rise in the compressor and what is the outlet temperature of the compressor. This is same as the industrial gas turbine. So nothing new here. Okay, so no confusion should be there. Exactly same as the industrial gas turbine. Only thing is that the inlet conditions are now different. Otherwise, same as the industrial gas turbine. So once we find T02, okay, P02 is already found because we know the pressure ratio. So once you know P01, P01 into RC is equal to P02. So now we know the outlet condition of the compressor, P02 and T02. What is our next step? We have to do the energy balance in the combustion chamber. Okay, why is it required? To get the amount of fuel that is required. Okay, to get the fuel air ratio, because for subsequent calculation the fuel air ratio will be required. So let us try to do the energy balance in the combustion chamber. Again, this is exactly same as what you have done for the industrial gas turbine. Same equation, same expression, everything same, but just we are repeating for turbojet part here. What is the change in energy in the, so the fluid goes from 02 to 03 in the combustion chamber. Okay, fluid goes from 02 to 03 in the combustion chamber. Let us consider that there is no pressure loss. If there is pressure loss, you can easily calculate that part also, but let us assume that there is no pressure loss. So it goes from 02 to 03. Okay, so at the outlet, what is the energy of the fluid? Cp of gas, because now it has become gas, the after the combustion. Okay, so we need to use Cp of gas into T03. Okay, per unit mass flow rate, this is the energy. Per unit mass flow rate of air at the inlet, m dot A, what is the mass flow rate here? Per unit mass flow rate of air at the inlet, m dot A, the mass flow rate here is equal to 1 plus F, because F amount of additional fuel has been added. If mass flow rate is 1 and fuel air ratio is F, so 1 plus F is the mass flow rate of the combustion products. This is again same as what we have discussed previously. So 1 plus F into Cpg into T03. This is the energy here at this point. What is the inlet energy? Here the mass flow rate is equal to 1 because fuel has not yet been added. So the energy in the fuel we are ignoring, means energy means the static enthalpy not static enthalpy, what is this? Sensible enthalpy. In the fuel we were ignoring, okay. So in the liquid fuel, because it's very small amount, so only the sensible enthalpy in the air we are considering. So 1 into Cp of air into T02. So this is the change of energy that has occurred per unit mass flow rate of air, okay. This should be equal to the energy that is released by the combustion process per unit mass flow rate of the air. What is the energy released by the combustion process per unit mass flow rate of the air? Per unit mass flow rate of the air, the amount of fuel that is combusted is F, okay, because F is the fuel air ratio. If air is equal to 1, fuel is equal to F, okay. So F into calorific value of fuel. This is the amount of energy released per unit mass flow rate of air into combustion efficiency is the actual conversion, means gives us the actual amount of energy that is getting converted to the energy of the air, okay. Means the 100% of the calorific value cannot be converted to or cannot be used for increasing the temperature of the air. Around 98-99% of it is used. So that is given by the combustion efficiency, eta B. Okay. So from this equation should be very familiar to you because this you have learned for the exam. So from this we can calculate F as, so if you take all the terms with F to one side, you get F is equal to Cpg into T03 minus Cpa into T02 divided by eta B QCV minus Cpg into T03. All the terms are known here. T03 is the turbine inlet temperature, which is known. Cpg and Cpa are known parameters. T02 we have just now calculated from the compressor. Again, this term is known. QCV is calorific value of the fuel, should be known to us. Combustion efficiency also depends on the design process, should be known to us. Okay, so fuel air ratio we can calculate from this. And this will be required for our subsequent calculation. So by energy balance in the combustion chamber, we have calculated the fuel air ratio. Okay. I will take 10 minutes more. Okay. We'll just finish this part before the nozzle part. Nozzle we will discuss in the next class. So as T03 is the design parameter, we can find F from the above energy balance. Okay. So now we know the T03 and P03 point. P03 is equal to P02 because we have not considered any pressure loss. If there are pressure losses, that will be given to us like 4% pressure loss or something. Then you can easily calculate P03, means it will be 0.96 of P02. Means depending on the pressure loss, you can find out what should be P03. So after this calculation, the turbine inlet condition should be known to you, P03 and T03. What is our next step? We have to calculate the turbine outlet condition. How will we calculate the turbine outlet condition? Can anyone explain? What is known at the turbine outlet?
So like the work we obtain from the turbine should be enough to run the compressor.
Correct, correct. Nothing is known as the turbine outlet. Only relation is that work output of the turbine is equal to work input to the compressor. That is the only known condition. Okay. Pressure and temperature both are unknown at the turbine outlet. It is not like industrial gas turbines. If you see the industrial gas turbine calculation, the turbine outlet pressure we had assumed to be equal to the atmospheric pressure. Okay. Here the turbine outlet pressure is unknown because we are not expanding the air to the atmospheric pressure. We are just expanding to some point, intermediate point, so that sufficient work is there just to run the compressor. That is all. Okay. So we need to find both P04 and T04. So turbine work is equal to compressor work, as you have rightly pointed out. So what is the turbine work per unit mass flow rate of air at the inlet of the compressor or of the diffuser? Cp of gas into T03 minus T04. This is per unit mass flow rate, the turbine work output. Cp of gas T03 minus T04 into 1 plus F. Because for unit mass flow rate of air, the mass flow rate in the turbine is 1 plus F. Okay, slightly higher mass flow rate is there because of the fuel. So this is the turbine work output, Cpg 1 plus F, T03 minus T04. Now this entire work cannot be transmitted to the compressor. There is a small loss in the shaft, okay, frictional losses, which is accounted for by the mechanical efficiency, okay. Typically, it's very high, 0.99, this mechanical efficiency or something like that. So almost all the work is transferred, but there is some transmission. This is also known as transmission loss or mechanical loss. So eta m into this amount turbine work is actually transmitted to the compressor. This is equal to the compressor work input. So mass flow rate in the compressor is 1. Okay, because no fuel was there. 1 into CPA into T02 minus T01. This is our relation. So CPA into T02 minus T01 is known. T03 we have already assumed that it is known. F we have now calculated just now. Eta m is known quantity, Cp of gas is known quantity. Okay, everything is known except T04. So this equation will give us the turbine outlet temperature T04, actual outlet temperature, not the isentropic outlet temperature. Okay, this will give us the actual outlet temperature T04. Now using the isentropic relation, eta T is equal to T03 minus T04 by T03 minus T04s. T03 and T04 both are known, you will get the isentropic temperature T04s. Okay, so now we have obtained the isentropic temperature T04s, and using isentropic relation now you can obtain the pressure. So P04 by P03 is equal to T04s by T03 to the power gamma g by gamma g minus 1. Okay, so using this, now you have to use gamma g. Okay, the ratio of specific heat for the gas, which we had taken some like 1.333, I think, instead of 1.4. Okay, so everything else here is known, so you will find P04. Okay, so the outlet conditions are known, P04 and T04 of the turbine from this calculation. Okay, so last part is the nozzle. So I will just go through this part of the calculation, and we have to discuss nozzle in details in the next class. Okay, this part we will just finish today, one page, and then we will go into the next class. So outlet condition means, see the inlet condition of the nozzle is now fixed, P04 and T04. Okay, what is the outlet condition of the nozzle? What is the outlet pressure of the nozzle? If it is a
atmospheric pressure at that point,
it is a atmospheric pressure
at that altitude.
Yes, given that the nozzle is not choked. Okay, so if the nozzle is choked, we will not reach atmospheric pressure. This we will discuss later. So let us consider that the nozzle is not choked. Okay, means this is a subsonic nozzle. Okay, like a convergent nozzle itself. Simple convergent nozzle. Okay, not a convergent divergent type of nozzle. And also the nozzle is not choked. The convergent nozzle is not choked. Okay, so in that case, the outlet condition, outlet pressure is equal to atmospheric pressure PA, which is known to us because that is equal to the inlet pressure PA. Okay, so P5 is equal to PA. Okay, so some nozzle efficiency is defined. How is nozzle efficiency defined? You have read in thermodynamics. It is equal to the change in actual enthalpy H04 minus H5. Means if we assume that the nozzle inlet velocity is very minimal, means the inlet velocity to the nozzle is very small, negligible. Okay, what is the static enthalpy at the inlet of the nozzle? Stagnation enthalpy is H04. What is the static enthalpy?
Same, H04.
Same, H04. Okay, and at the outlet, now there is sufficient large velocity. Okay, so the static enthalpy is H5. Okay, so the change in kinetic energy that occurs is H04 minus H5, which is equal to V5 square by 2. Okay, H04 minus H5 is equal to V5 square by 2. So this is the actual change in enthalpy that is occurring. Ideally, the change would have occurred if we would have got an isentropic process. If there was no frictional losses, the change in enthalpy would have been higher because this line would have gone to a lower temperature. So ideally, we would have obtained H04 minus H5s, and the velocity obtained would have been higher. Velocity is again h04 minus h5s is v5s square by 2. Okay, so I can replace this v5 square by 2 by v5s square by 2. So efficiency is given by v5 square by v5s square. Okay, so the square of the ratio of actual velocity by ideal velocity. This is how nozzle efficiency is defined. Okay, so nozzle efficiency is a known parameter. Say it is given to us in 0.95 or 0.96. Generally, nozzle efficiencies are quite high because there are no moving parts in the nozzle. Okay, so whatever losses only because of friction. Okay, so it can be quite high. So eta n is equal to T04 minus T5 by T04 minus T5s. So assuming nozzle is not choked, what we mean by choking, those things we will discuss later. So let us consider that it's normal nozzle, means full expansion can occur. P5 is equal to PA. Okay, so this point pressure is known. So T04 by T5s, this point we are trying to find. Okay, T04 is already known, T5s we are trying to find. This is equal to P04 by P5 to the power gamma g minus 1 by gamma g. Okay, so all the values are known on the right hand side. P04 we have already calculated. P5 is already known. Gamma g, obviously it's the known parameter. T04 also known to us. So this can give us T5s. Okay. Once you know what is T5s, use the nozzle efficiency equation to find what is the value of T5. Okay. This point T5 can also be calculated using the nozzle efficiency. I have written the calculation here, but directly you can calculate because T5s is known. T5 you can directly calculate because all the other parameters are known. Okay. Once you know what is T5 from the above equation, here I have derived in details, but you can directly calculate. Means V5 square by 2 is equal to nothing but CPG into T04 minus T5. Okay, I can write in terms of the isentropic efficiency and pressure, but once you know what is T5, what is V5 square by 2? V5 square by 2 is equal to H04 minus H5. Okay, what is H04 minus H5? It is CPG into T04 minus T5. So T04 and T5 both are known to us. CPG is known to us, so you can directly calculate what is V5. Okay, so exhaust velocity will be known to us, and that is our target, to find the exhaust gas velocity after all this calculation. Okay, so if you want to derive a formula for this, that we have derived here step by step, but if you just solve a problem, you can just go through the steps that I am saying and directly calculate V5. Okay, if you want to write in terms of pressure ratio, then you have to write like this: eta n is equal to, you divide both sides by T04. So 1 minus T5 by T04 divided by 1 minus T5s by T04. So 1 minus T5 by T04 divided by 1 minus T5s by T04 is P5 by P04 to the power gamma g minus 1 by gamma g. Okay. So this part is known. Okay. So T5, so anyway, so CPG into T04 minus T5 is, from this relation, eta n into CPG T04 minus T5s. Okay. Eta n into CPG T04 minus T5s. If you take T04 common, you are left with 1 minus T5s by T04, which is given by this expression, pressure ratio. You should try this calculation on your own. Okay. Otherwise, it will seem tricky to you, but it's just very simple calculation. So we can write in this term, and this we can replace by V5 square by 2, so which is again equal to this term, and V5 is equal to root over 2 eta n CPG T04 1 minus pressure ratio to the power gamma g minus 1 by gamma g. Okay, this formula you did not remember, okay, because we can directly calculate step by step like I have suggested. But if you want to derive an expression, this is the expression for velocity, because this gives us an insight how the velocity changes if eta n is reduced. Obviously the velocity will reduce as a square root of eta n. Similarly, if T04 is reduced, how will the V5 reduce? If the pressure ratio is reduced, what will happen? So all these things we can obtain from here. Okay, what is the effect on the exhaust velocity? So we will conclude with this part. So the thrust developed, that was our ultimate aim. Okay, what is the thrust? The change in momentum that is occurring, okay, which is causing a force on the engine. Okay, so what is the momentum of the fluid at the outlet for m dot a mass flow rate? Okay, for actual mass flow rate m dot a, the fuel flow rate is m dot f. So m dot a plus m dot f into v5. This is the momentum of the fluid at the exit of the engine. Okay, this again we will discuss in the next class, but let me just conclude it here. What was the inlet momentum of the fluid? M dot A into VA. Okay, so change in momentum that has occurred in the fluid, okay, per unit time. So this is equal to the thrust. This is the force that is being applied on the, means that this is equal to the force that is being applied on the engine for forward propulsion. This is equal to the difference at the outlet minus at the inlet. So if you take m dot a common, you are left with 1 plus f v5, which is the exhaust velocity, minus va, inlet velocity. Okay, so this is the thrust developed for the actual mass flow rate. If you divide by m dot a, you get the thrust per unit mass flow rate of air. Okay, so specific thrust, which is 1 plus f into v5 minus va. So the entire point of this calculation is to find out the thrust that is developed by the engine. Let us stop here, go through this discussion, okay, what we have discussed today, and through this part of the calculation. Only new things are for you guys are the nozzle and the diffuser. Rest of the parts are similar to industrial gas turbines. So please go through this nozzle and diffuser part carefully and try to understand what is happening. And next class you should be very clear, because we have to go into more depth of this nozzle part in the next class. Okay. So I will give you the marks in the of your exam in the next class, means next week. Okay, by the next class. So let me take the attendance. Any questions today?
Sir,
Yes.
one question, sir.
Tell me.
Of the after the class, sir. What is surge margin actually, sir?
What?
What is surge margin?
I don't understand. How is it related to us?
No, sir. Actually, related to gas turbine or something. Surge margin, something.
Surging is a different process. Okay, towards the end we will discuss anyway. Means this it will take some time to discuss. We will discuss later on. Means when we discuss about turbines. Okay. So turbines and compressors. There we will discuss about surging and stalling, all these things. Okay. So it will be complicated to discuss now, because we have to see how the pressure changes with the mass flow rate, and those are actually part of the characteristics. Means depending on the mass flow rate, means if you deviate from the design mass flow rate, what happens to the compressor or turbine? And because till now we are assuming that we are always at the design mass flow rate or design conditions, but in a actual case your engines you will design it for a certain condition, but it will fly at very many different conditions. So accordingly the mass flow rate and other things will change, and all this phenomenon means how the actual pressure changes, pressure change occurs. This we have to study in those cases, and then we will study the surging and other effects. Okay. Please respond to your roll call. What is the date today? 29th. Bharatram, present. Then Sachin Kumar Singh. Sachin is absent. Sanjay is present. Abhishek absent. Vikas present.
Present, sir.
Manthan is present. Ajay present.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Gaurav Khandelwal. Gaurav absent. Jishnu present. Suresh Kumar present. Ujjwal present. Shubham Kumar Shubham Kumar. Shubham is absent. Pushpendu. Pushpendu. Why is so many absent today? Attendance is very important this time. Please let your friends know that attendance is being monitored by the administration. Okay. Amgad Shyam Kumar.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
present. Yes, I've seen that you are present.